I was always a history observer because my curiosity how past generations dealt with life issues are important to me. I want to learn, I want to know how to avoid pitfalls that we face in everyday life and also how past events affect our current lives. For some, it's inconsequential. They feel no obligation to learn past history because, according to their reasoning, it does not affect their daily routines in any way. I differ from that assumption. Just on the fact that we could avoid the mishaps past generations suffered. Recently, I was looking into the many wars happening in the Americas from approximately the 1700s to 1865 in North America, Central America, the Caribbean, and South America going on simultaneously. I found that very intriguing and at the same time extremely puzzling. You see, wars, for the most part, in my opinion, are conflicts of economic interests, so therefore quite costly. They have to be beneficial to the warring participants, otherwise they will not be involved. Let's take a closer look at some specific conflicts. Before we do that, let me point out a couple of things. Do you think that when you hear in the news about a drug war, do you actually believe it's an ideological conflict or a territorial one or solely based on expanding a profile? Do you actually think it is because one side believes the other side is bad? Or do they want to take away the other's territory or market? Come on. Common sense should provide the answer. Wars are to gain profit. Strictly. Don't be fooled. They may flower it with patriotic nobility to convince you of their honorable cause and have you accepted as such. But when you get down to it, it's a dirty conflict. Rarely it's an instant of protecting yourself from aggression. But don't make a mistake. Wars are just like drug-related conflicts. So let's get back and take a closer look at past conflicts occurring in the Americas simultaneously. There were cumulative wars happening in South America concurrently. And of course, they were of extremely costly nature, like ammunition, equipment, horses, provisions, the usage of so-called slaves as soldiers. That in itself is a very interesting point to me. Explain to me how you train a so-called slave, military tactics, to defend his master's property and upon completion of military duty, go back to being a domesticated slave again, according to the so-called terminology of slave. That is difficult to accept as truth. Remember also that victories must compensate for the cost. Many of these wars were supposed to be of European origin for possession of territories, like the involvement of Spain and Portugal. I've yet to understand and comprehend how these two small European nations, according to the written history, were able to simultaneously carry on wars of possession from such a distance without a telephone, telegraph, or any means of communication over vast regions of land through mountains, peaks, jungles, plains, rivers, and without allies, and still maintain a firm grip in these conflicts. The next puzzle of interest is how both of these military giants fell to Napoleon's military genius, advocating their reigns, causing Portugal monarchy to flee to Brazil, and Spain to cede their monarchy to Napoleon's brother. Very remarkable. Moving forward with the puzzle, at the same time, this great French military genius is unable to put down a so-called slave, again remember the term, revolt in its richest colony in the so-called New World. Well, I'm going to compare this to like a mafia don story. A mafia don is not going to lose his money-making machine. He will avert that at all costs. And furthermore, to complicate the soap opera we're dealing with right now, Napoleon needed finance to help him with this conflict. So he sells off a large tract of land in present-day U.S. called the Louisiana Territory, of which I have no idea how they own it. How did these people all the way over there own this large piece of land? But then President Thomas Jefferson bought it, doubling the size of the U.S. Now I wonder who was the real estate agent. That's like me saying I own Prospect Park in Brooklyn and it's up for sale. Now how does France come about owning this vast territory? By what right can they claim it? It's all a mystery to me. Anyway, getting back to the soap opera, explain to me how a small country like Haiti, supposedly enslaved, defeats Napoleon, who defeated the Spaniards and the Portuguese, who had control over most of Central America, the Caribbean, and South America. Remember, wars are like drug turf wars. You just don't see territory to your adversary? How can Haiti defeat, as we are told in history books, what was then the most powerful military might on the planet, who had defeated the Portuguese and Spaniards convincingly? How can machete-carrying so-called slaves with no military knowledge accomplish this feat? Help me clear this soap opera. One more point of interest. Why is that what was at one time the richest colony in the so-called New World, now the poorest country in the Americas? Is there a past historical connection here? I always wondered about that. How is it possible that this rich colony at one point, supposedly according to the books, is not the poorest country on this side of the world? Anyway, this soap opera continues, my friend. Abundant blessings and peace to all. Much love.